right, hey, welcome. This is the first module of the resiliency series that I put together. These are not going to go as in depth as I would like them to, especially when it's solo. Once there's guests on, there will be um, some more in-depth training that happens, but this is mod one, and it's just going to give you an overview and what to think about the rest of the week. Um, I apologize if I don't stare straight at the camera. I do have notes that I have to follow. Otherwise, I will get off track and I will ramble on and on, and it will do you absolutely no good. So, but there is the learning objective behind this is to help you gain clarity, um, and identify the before, during, and after. Like what you look like before you decided to make a change, what the change will look like while you're in the process of doing it, and what you would like to see at the end. And these are things that you really need to think about for yourself. You should be able to write a letter to your future self and be like, hey, this is where I want to see myself in the next, maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's a year, 3 years, 5 years. You need to have a letter to your future self that's like, hey, when I get done, or if I feel like I'm starting to make the progress, maybe go back, take a look at that letter that you wrote to your future self, and see where you're at. Do a good check-in. Maybe you got off track a little bit and you need to get back on. But I want you to be able to identify some false roles that you're doing in your life, the mass, and I want you to be able to recognize your strengths, your strengths that you've developed over the years that have helped you get through the majority of the struggles that you've dealt with. Obviously, if you're sitting here and you're listening to this and you have been through some trying times, you have some resilience in you already. You're just not pulling it out to its full potential. Um, but I want you to be able to identify yourself before and after. That's the big thing. Um, and my slides are not working. There we go. Now my slides are working. So, I think this is really important right here. Every person faces a defining fire in their life. Um, that fire can strip away your identity or it can refine it. It's all in what you use it to do. A lot of people will allow it to burn themselves to the ground and they don't recover from it for a variety of reasons. They don't feel as though they're worthy of trying to build something new. Like, what's the point? The same thing's just going to happen to me again. And yeah, of course, there's always those chances, but I don't think we want to sit and dwell on those. Um, Before we started thinking about, becoming more resilient, um, we lived a lot of different roles, labels. There's there's a lot of things out there where people, maybe they're idolized, maybe they look like they have it all together, and you've had to make it look like that so that way it could protect you. But deep down inside, you're churning chaos, and you're like, man, I'm about to crack here, and that's when your resilience will get tested. So make sure that whatever you do, whether you're going through this and you're just kind of breezing through it, but you need to rebuild on truth. Like, you have to rebuild on truth. And if you don't, then you've already got a weak foundation and you need to reevaluate what you really are looking for in your life. Do not be afraid to label the ugly truths about yourself. I've looked at my past, and I've looked at things where, man, I used to lie about a lot of different things just so I didn't have to deal with the consequences. Or maybe I would just find it easier to to avoid the situation and versus, trying to get into a confrontation. So I love this scripture quote that's down on the bottom here. When you pass through the fire, you shall not be burned. Isaiah 4:32, 43 too. Um, it speaks volumes. It's your faith. It's your faith that you have in your ability to change, and you have to have faith in yourself. Um, uh, those of you that have heard from me before, I'm very strong in my faith. I give a lot of credit to God for where I'm at today, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been able to pass through this fire. I wouldn't have been able to do it. And that's just the reality of it. So I apologize. I'm just going to check my notes here real quick. Uh, so the journey on this thing, this begins with your identity. Um, you you need to understand who you actually are, and you can't lie to yourself. Um, if you do, you're going to cheat yourself every time. Um, what you're enduring inside, you should be able to take this and you want to write this down on paper. You need to put pen to paper. And when you do that, it affirms it for you. And it's going to stick with you a little bit longer. If you're somebody that's like, hey, I don't want my stuff to be read, um, maybe you have a safe place, maybe you have a journal that you can put this stuff in. And, but you really need to write this down and take a good hard look at yourself. Um, and I want you to have a clear picture of who you want to become. Every single one of us has faced some kind of defining moment in our life where the fire it's gotten pretty hot. Maybe it's trauma, betrayal, combat, loss, burnout. I mean, the list, we can go on and on. But it has a way of stripping us bare, and it can destroy illusions. But it can also reveal the truth of who we really are. And I'm thankful for the fires that I have been through, because it's helped burn away some of the falsehoods about myself. And it's really opened my eyes into who I can really be, and how resilient I really am. And it's a great feeling to know that, like, even though I may have some flaws still, the amount of resiliency training that I've been through has prepared me to help others. It's also allowed me to reflect on um, my support structures. And support structures are very important for somebody to become resilient. You Our support systems, whether it's family, friends, spiritual, maybe you're getting mental health help, but it's a trusted group that you can go to, and you don't have to worry about judgment or anything like that. So that's what I'm really hoping you're going to get out of the anything that's produced by Wildfire Words or the shift. Um, but this week we're going to work towards four objectives, and that's to clarify who you were before the fire, the roles, the labels, the masks that you carried, define what the fire revealed and refined in you, recognize who you are becoming now and what's behind you, and then begin rebuilding an identity intentionally, not by accident, and by choice. And when I say intentional, I mean, like, this is a decision that you have made. There is a goal that is put in place, and you're not just stumbling into it and flying by the seat of your pants. Um, but there's a question that I do want to leave you with. And if you're just listening in, then I'm still going to read this question out loud. It is on the screen, but I want you to reflect on why is it important for you to truly know who you're becoming? I just want you to think about that, and then write that down and see what comes to mind. And I'm curious what's going to come out on some of y'all's papers, but that's for you guys. And if anybody wants to share it with me, please, by all means, I would love to hear what comes out. We all know J.K. Rowling, uh, but I like this quote: "Rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life." Um, we've all been at rock bottom, and rebuilding from there, once you've got a solid structure, it's like, man, nothing can take me down. Like I'm ready for it. Send it my way, and I'm going to be able to handle this. And if I can't handle it, I know I've got a team that I can rely on that can help me. So, but continuing on. So before many of us kind of, we lived in roles. Maybe you were defined by a career title or relationship or by how people perceived you. I know a lot of us run off, what our image is in somebody else's eyes. We don't want to look bad. We don't want to look silly. Um, and in reality, yes, no, none of us want to do that. And but people are going to judge no matter what, and there's nothing you can do about it. People will judge even when you get help and you try to make yourself better. Um, I've it's it's almost like they're looking at it like I wish I had the strength to do what that person's doing, but because I can't, I'm going to talk crap about it. Um, but often our identity is shaped by expectations, um, not authenticity. Uh, we did what we thought we had to do. And when we get stuck in that, we're caught in a loop and we sell ourselves that it is the person that we actually are. Um, the mask that we wore for survival and acceptance, we will gladly put that baby back on, but it does us absolutely no good. Because eventually when once that mask comes off, survival mode is it's a little hard because you don't even know who you are anymore because you've wore too many masks. And the only way to truly become resilient is to pull off that mask and accept the person that you are, the faults that you do, good, maybe not so bad. Maybe you've done some really bad things. But again, these are masks. And you need to accept the fact that, yes, you may have done some things in your life that are questionable and you may have hurt some people. And yeah, you've lied about some stuff. But if you can identify that right now and put it to paper and be like, hey, listen, this is what I know about me, and this is not what I want for my future, well, you're moving in a positive direction. Um, the before self was normally is normally disconnected from your true self. Um, I've had a couple conversations over the last couple weeks, and it's like, man, I finally feel like the old Matt. It's like, who was I for all those years? And I like to label myself as a pretty resilient person. Um, I haven't had too much take me down. I'm still here. I'm still walking. So obviously life has not taken me out yet. Um, but yeah, your before self is definitely disconnected from who you really are. Unless you're just one of those people that's just, I've lived exactly how I should live. This was the plan that was set out before me. I never had to, I didn't have anything get in my way. Man, I'd love to sit down and talk to you because I want to know how you were able to do that. But um, yeah. But I got another good question for you to reflect on with this. And it's what roles or masks do you think you wore before? What roles or masks did you wear before? Who were you before you decided to take a step and making a change to be a better version of yourself? Just think about that for a little bit. I'm already thinking about it on some that maybe I haven't even released yet. While you're thinking about that, I'm gonna move on to the next side. Um, before I do though, I want you to understand that you don't have to wear those masks to survive. You really don't. Um, that's something that we sell ourselves on, and in reality, we just gotta sometimes we gotta face the music, we gotta face the fire, and and start making a change. So, um, I know for a lot of us, our fire was, either trauma, maybe it was a loss, betrayal, burnt out and breaking points. And we're talking about trauma. It could be anything. It could be the loss of a family member. It could be maybe you're in a domestic violence situation, or maybe it's some childhood trauma that you just haven't gotten over yet. And if you're still dealing with some childhood trauma, that's a mask that you really got to take a look at and determine whether or not you want to let what happened to you as a child define what's going to happen to you the rest of your life. I used to live in that world. Be like, you know what? I can't trust people because, you know, I had a father that I was supposed to trust, and he broke that trust by being abusive. Um, Maybe it's betrayal, whether you were betrayed at your job. I actually worked for a company. I got into solar energy right after I got out of the military. I just needed something to do because I wanted to stay busy. Otherwise, I'd go nuts. And I had an entire group of people that I worked with that essentially organized a coup, and went behind my back and stripped an entire sales team away from me. And as a result of that, it caused me to not trust anybody in the civilian workforce, and I had every reason in the world to get upset about what this individual did, and the reason why they organized this coup to essentially get me fired was because I caught somebody stealing commissions from one of my employees, and I'm not good with that. So um so for me, in order to be able to continue to keep working in the civilian workforce, I had to kind of set aside some of those grudges, maybe some false beliefs that I had about people, and I had to genuinely take a step back and go, not everybody's bad. They're not all that bad. So, but burnout, there's so many of us that are just burnt out in life, whether it's because you're working your 9 to 5, you're going home, you're taking care of your kids, you got the pets, maybe you got a spouse or a significant other that's not helping you out. You've got some relationship issues that you're not addressing. You're just letting them sit there, and all of that is starting to chink away at your resilience. Because once you get to a breaking point, that's it, and then you can't bounce back from it without help. Um, you want to get to a point where, yeah, maybe you do need some help, but you should be able to kind of pick yourself up and dust yourself off and be like, all right, maybe I got kicked down, but I've got a good mentality. I can, make some pretty solid decisions and make a plan on how I'm going to get over whatever's going on. Um, but I think it's really important for people to, strip away any kind of false identities or illusions that they have about themselves. And this is this deals with a lot of self-awareness. Like, you cannot fix anything about yourself without any kind of self-awareness. Like, I myself, I know my flaws. I know I'm stubborn. I know I don't like to take advice from people a lot. I know that sometimes I'll get down on myself. I'll be like, listen, man, like you're not good enough to do that. Like even something as simple as maybe giving you this class on resiliency. And that's that's an illusion that I had inside my head that was like, you know what, you're not good enough, Matt. You can't do that. Um, they're painful, but they're also revealing. Um, you know, you want to start seeing the truth about yourself. And if you can't see that, if you can't go and stand in front of a mirror and look and see what or who that person is that's looking back at you, then I hate to tell you this, but you're lying to yourself, and you got to stop. You gotta acknowledge who you are and where you're at in your life. But once you start identifying these things, it's not going to ruin you. It's not going to ruin you at all. In fact, it's going to refine you to a point where it's like, man, I could finally be honest with myself. And now I said it out loud, even if it was just to yourself inside of in front of a mirror, you're acknowledging the fact that, like, man, this is the real harsh truth about Matt. And but I want you to think about um what did your fire strip away from you now, and what do you see that wasn't truly you? And just reflect on that. There's going to be a lot of reflections. I hope you write down these questions and you're using them because they're going to help you build, especially when we get to the next mod. So I love this quote that's down at the bottom also. Fire is the test of gold. Adversity is the test of strong men. Right. So we're tried and tested all the time. And that's all part of resiliency. And yeah, we want to refine you, but I want you to be able to face adversity and just be like, you know what, I'm going to take this thing head on. And if I can't do it alone, at least I know I've got some people that'll stand behind me and they're going to help me take this. So I tell you what, my slides do not want to work sometimes. So, you know, what was your what was your identity um after the fire? You know, what do you want to see after you're rebuilt? Not lost. What strengths do you want to see that are emerged that were hidden before? Um, and some of these scars that are either internal or external, they're your proof of survival, not weakness. The after self that you're going to see is going to be more authentic, resilient, and it's going to be real. You'll be able to open up and reflect uh, more confidently about yourself. And um, I want you to think about like who you are today because of what you survived. Like I have I'm not going to release out names. I never release out names, but I've gotten some very awesome compliments about some of the followers that I have from other people that are just like, man, that person, she's always there for everybody. She's like a rock. She's solid, never thinks of herself. And um that's somebody that is resilient, and maybe they don't even recognize how resilient they really are, but other people will. So this is going to be one of your first like reflective exercises that I'm going to put out there. And That's who you are before the fire, your roles, your beliefs, your fears, and then where you want to see yourself after. Your strengths, the lessons, your growth, and then take those two things and just write it right down the middle of a piece of paper. And what you want to do is you take all your strengths and your weaknesses and the versions of yourself, and then you just tear that thing in half. And the old side, that's the side we're going to try and refine. And the new side, this is where we're going to be, and you're going to be more resilient and you're going to be able to take things head on. Um, Hi, Lauren, I see you on there. So I have an awesome coach that is on here. She's not talking right now. She's definitely watching though. Do you want to talk? Just give me a thumbs up if you do. Thumbs down. Gotcha. It's good. You can give me some feedback after. So, but compare these two versions and highlight the shifts that you see as you're looking down through your list. You'll be able to start noticing, like I was, you know, when I faced adversity, I would shut down. Now it's adversity. I might get a little anxious, but I can take it head on now. And you want to be able to compare the two versions, and you definitely want to highlight things that you can see in there that have shifted in your life. And I want you to think about what stands out most when you compare your before and after selves. So just think about that for a minute. What stands out most when you compare your before and your after self? What was lost? What was gained? Which two versions of yourself? What roles, beliefs, limiting beliefs, maybe some fears. Um, Another awesome quote that's down at the bottom here. Your story is the key that can unlock someone else's prison. I like this quote. Um, I do believe that my story can help unlock somebody else's prison. I do believe that we all lock ourselves in a prison at one point in time. We walk in and out. It's a jail cell that's constantly open, and but eventually that door slams shut and we don't know how to get out. And that's why I'm here. That's why I want to put these together for you, so that way I don't want you to get stuck in the same things that I have, and to be able to make those positive changes in your life. But again, reflect on that. What stands out most when you compare your before and after selves? So I like this slide right here. Uh, the mirror reflects what is not, or the mirror reflects what is, not what was, but it's up to you to see the truth. And just let that sink in for a little bit and see what comes to mind. Um, but I've talked about this a couple slides back, but identity and clarity comes from self-honesty. If you're not self-aware, if you don't understand your flaws, um, and you can't, or you don't have the ability or the courage to say them out loud, then you're just going to remain in a rut, and there's no way for you to build any basis of resiliency that's sitting on falsehoods. Um, Stand in front of the mirror and just reflect on it. I actually did this probably about 3 weeks ago. I stood in front of the mirror and I was like, who are you? Like, who are you? Because I don't recognize you. You're not that resilient guy. You're not the guy that made it through two combat deployments. You're not the guy that's, survived this entire time. Like, who are you? And um, I had to ask myself, am I living as who I was or who I want to become? And I realized very quickly that I was just living in a world of who I was at that point in time and not who I wanted to become. Um, and a lot of this, most of it helped me by digging into a journal and just doing unfiltered thoughts. Your journal, man, once you start writing in there and you just let yourself go to town, the things that will come out of you that you've just been hung up on, it is your ability to reflect on paper, and you don't even have to say it out loud, but that pen and paper is so powerful. Um, and you can go back and you can look at it and be like, man, I was really stuck in a bad way, and this is how I was able to get out of it. I had a friend of mine uh talk to me a few days ago that was like, literally, I went back in and reflected on a journal prompt that I did 4 years ago, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, I said I wasn't going to do this, and I'm right back to doing it again. And that right there is some pretty good self-awareness. um but when you take a look in that mirror, who do you honestly see today? And write that down. Like, who do you see today? Good, bad, the ugly, whatever it is, put it down. Put it down. And I'm going to say this quote one more time. The mirror reflects what is, not what was, but it's up to you to see the truth. That means that you have to really look inside yourself, be aware, be honest, and tell the truth about who you really are. So, if you have the ability to do this right now, you can. If you don't, you can always come back to this because it's recorded. So you'll be able to come back and be like, oh, I can do this little exercise. So you will hear me throw jokes in here or there. I'm naturally kind of a jokester. I like to use humor. I know this is a very serious subject, but um, I'm a very monotone person, and if I don't use some kind of humor, you might fall asleep. It's very possible that you'll fall asleep. Or maybe you're going to listen to this late night when you're going to go to bed, and it's actually going to help you sleep. So, but I do use humor. Uh, so what I want you to do is draw two circles, your before and your after, and then fill each with traits, roles, some beliefs about yourself. And then after you do that, I want you to circle what you want to carry forward and cross out everything that you want to leave in the ashes. What part of your old self do you need to leave in the ashes to grow? And some of these things you're not going to want to cross out. Those of us that are faith-based, we know that sometimes we go into prayer and we might hear the answers that we don't want to hear. And unfortunately, those are probably the right answers. So, as hard as it is for you to not want to cross off those things that you just want to leave behind, have the courage to do it. But also be realistic with yourself. Don't start circling a bunch of goals that yourself that you're probably not going to be able to achieve. And but I think if you're real honest on this exercise, and you're going to keep this paper, and you're going to keep looking at it. So that way, every time when you come back to it and you're like, oh man, I'm doing this thing that I crossed off on this list. I said I wasn't going to do it. Now I'm doing it. Now I got to send Matt a message, tell him that I messed up and I went back on my stuff. And, I'm not going to yell at you for it. So, um, but I myself go back and forth quite a bit. Uh, But I hope you're really taking the time and you're writing down some of these things, and um it's going to help you move forward. And then at the end of this, though, it's going to be like, what part of before the fire did I miss? Do I miss? Like, what version of my old self do I miss? Uh, what am I relieved to leave behind? What strengths do I have that literally only exist because I've been tested time and time and time again, and it just hasn't burned me. It hasn't. I've been able to make it through, and it's based off this one strength. And I'm curious what everybody's strength is, but um my strength I know is perseverance. Like I just will not stop. Failure is not an option for me. I know that's a big PTSD trait. It's an all or nothing kind of mindset, but I do know that perseverance is one of my strengths, and I just don't have it in me to quit. I thank the army for that. I thank God for that. I thank friends for that have like, kept me going, and they're like, no, 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 don't quit. Um, and then I want you to think about who you are if your past no longer defines who you are. Who would you be if your past no longer defined who you are? And that's a really important thing because a lot of people get stuck on, I messed up a lot early on in my life. I went through some bad relationships. I got fired from jobs. I couldn't work together well with my coworkers. Um, I probably said this already, but about relationships. There's a lot of people that beat themselves up about relationships. Like, I'm just not, I'm just not meant to be with somebody. I'm always going to freaking mess it up, or I'm going to, um, I'm just not going to be a success. So there's no point. I'm just not going to continue on. But I want you to take a look at that though, and just think about who you would be if your past didn't define you. If you didn't allow your past to define you, actually, because I think that's what a lot of us do. We allow our past to define us. So, and another super awesome quote. Scars remind us where we've been. They don't have to dictate where we're going. And that's by David Rossi. I'm going to say it again. Scars remind us where we've been, and they don't have to dictate where we're going. Same thing. Your past reminds you of where you've been, how you've grown, things that you haven't grown in that you're like, man, I do want to grow in those aspects. What is going on? Why didn't I move past that? But they do not dictate where you're going to go in your future. They do not. Only you can dictate what's going to happen in your future. So if you're putting up a bunch of limiting beliefs, or like I'm not good enough, um, I oh man, what's a good one? It's the hard part about not rehearsing these when you're doing them. Um, I'm going to use relationships for me. I was horrible at relationships. So, but the scars from those relationships have reminded me of what I need to be in the future as a partner to the next person. If I'm with somebody else in the future, I don't want them to be like, hey, you know, this is all the stuff that I did before. I'm going to carry that forward. I'm going to continue to keep doing it. No, we're not going to do that. So. So most of these are bullet points that are on here, but and there's always a lot of fire stuff because it's wildfire words. So there's always some kind of burning and refining that's going on in here. That's the reason why you see it so much. you are not you are not what burned, you are what survived. Like, think about where you're at today. And I know there's people out there that are sitting there and they're like, I'm broke as a joke. I don't know how I'm going to put food on the table, but somehow, some way, everything always ends up working out and boom, you survived. Um, and there's people out there that are just living on just hope and I'm so sorry if that's what you're going through, because living on hope is it can be demoralizing sometimes, because your that hope can get just dismantled right in front of you so quickly. And you don't realize the strengths that you actually have and what you've survived and what it's revealed in you and what it hasn't ruined in you. And the people that come around you and they lift you up, um, your scars hold a testimony. And I apologize if I some of this stuff, it really hits home for me. It's a I've seen a lot of people give in to suicide and to not embrace resiliency. And so as I'm talking to you, I'm reflecting on some of the encounters that I've had throughout the years where um somebody wasn't able to rise from the ashes. They gave in, and unfortunately they're no longer here with us. And I don't want that for anybody. That's the reason why I put this resiliency series together. I want you to be able to realize the strengths that are inside of you. I want you to be able to see the fire that's inside of you. Um, to be able to talk about the things that have, kicked you down or scarred you. Um, to not have shame about it. We carry so much shame about our past, and we beat ourselves up, and we're very self-critical, and that shame allows us to stay very stagnant and not move forward. And if you set aside the shame and just embrace the fact that you just got a bad past, maybe, and who are you going to become? Like, who's going to rise out of those ashes? Who's the truest self? Who's Matt's true self? Who's Lauren's true self? Who's Dan's true self? Anybody that's listening, who is your true self? And I want you to become who you are always meant to be. I want you to reach your fullest of potential, and to not give in to your past, and to um just continue mission and keep moving forward. And what would change in your life if you truly, truly, fully embraced your identity after you allow all this to burn away? Um, in our When I went to UC Davis, they had us do I do believe it was a letter to our future self, and what I hoped I would see at the end of this course in myself. And um, I never done an exercise like that before, and I just always thought they were cheesy. And but I braced it, I did it. And what I wanted was to be a more present, uh actually had nothing to do with coaching. It actually had to do with being a parent. Like, I wanted to be a more present parent, so that way I could listen to my children's problems and I could help them navigate through those without coming down and sounding like a harsh parent. So for me, that was what I wanted to really reflect on. And it did. It helped me out so much to identify the one thing that I just really wanted to be better at. And it's helped me a lot. My children have the ability to be able to come to me and talk to me, and ask me for advice, and I can give them calm, sound advice, because that's what I wanted. That's what I put down on that paper. I wanted to be a more present parent. And I knew that if I was a more present parent, that when it came to coaching others, I would be more present and I would be more in tune to what is going on in their life, and I would be able to help them. And I think most of us that are parents, that's where it starts off, is like, how connected are we as a parent to our kids? How easy is it for our kids to approach us and talk about things? If you're not a parent, maybe you're in a leadership position. How approachable are you as a leader, or a mentor? And if you're not, um, if you're not approachable, this might be something that you want to reflect on. Maybe this is something you want to burn away. You're like, man, I kind of suck. Like, nobody wants to come up to me and talk to me, and I'm not gonna go. What's up, Lauren? Do you want me to unmute you? Hold on. Stand by. Go ahead.
I didn't want to interrupt you. I don't know if I'm fully understanding or harnessing this, but it really resonated me about sort of defining your past.
Hmm.
And I've come to the place where before I always wanted to sort of, I don't know if it's really pretend, but sort of reflect somebody different than other what I was. And now I feel like I do want my past to define me, in that within imperfection, there is that growth, and that I am who I am because of the messes I made. Like, I like my scars. I like my messy. And I fully embrace it. I embrace my awkwardness. I embrace all of those things that used to embarrass me. And sort of, I'm on my way to becoming proud of it. I don't know if that resonates or that's along the lines of what you're talking about. Um, and
I
then there,
I would say yes. I would say yes. I would say your scar, that falls right in line with your scars hold your testimony, not your shame.
yeah, and I'm really sort of coming into that. At first, you can say it, sort of say it like fake it till you make it, and now I find myself really sort of really wanting to live it and embrace it. At first, I was like, yeah, this is what I want, but now I find that that's actually what's coming together for me. And then the other thing that really, the whole idea of hope, having hope, this has really resonated for me personally in my experience, and hopefully it may resonate with somebody else. But I changed hope to trust and knowing, and that I don't have to know how or why. I just know it will happen. Because with hope, there seems to be sort of a sense of fragility, and hope is something that I'm putting in the hands of somebody else. Whereas if I just trust and I know I'm bringing the control back to me,
Hmm.
that's it.
I like that, Lauren. Just so everybody knows, Lauren. I do not want to jack up your last name. So,
Darling house.
and Lauren is a certified coach. She is a certified coach for life and work as well. So, she's not just some random person that's popping on giving you some advice. She's extremely intelligent, very good friend of mine, and uh, yeah, she's got a lot to offer. So, thank you so much for like just popping on and even giving that. So,
Thank you.
mhm. So. And I know, so I'm gonna start wrapping up with this because this one's not gonna be as in depth. Um, our next let me see what's on the schedule for the next one. Take a look real quick. I have so much stuff. I have to make sure that I stay on track. Ooh, so the next one is internal agreements and beliefs that have shaped your life. So this is really going to this is leading up into it. And um, I know it's been kind of short, but I wanted to make sure that you got the baseline for what the next five will give you. So there is a method to this madness. And so I'll run down the next ones that are going to be happening. And that's the next series that you're going to see is the internal agreements and beliefs that have shaped your life. The next one after that, this one's very important, emotional regulation and nervous system control. Um, a lot of times we have a hard time with our emotions. We'll move emotionally, and then after we'll try to justify it logically, which means that we're trying to sell ourselves on something. That's exactly how a sale goes. You move somebody emotionally to justify it logically. So I don't want you selling yourself, but I do want you to be bought into changing. And then after that, it's going to be grit, discipline, and rebuilding trust with yourself. Um, I had said I had said this a long time ago, and I was like, how can I expect you to trust me if I don't even trust me? And when I said that, and I actually heard those words come out of my mouth, I was like, wow, I that's like a really powerful thing. Like, I don't trust me. Like, how can I expect anybody else to trust me? And then boundaries, connection, and real healing. And then the final one is rewriting your story and leading from the scars, not the wounds. So this is very much in line, like with what you were just talking about, Lauren, where the past, it does define, but it's not gonna stop you from becoming your true potential. So it's been I'm glad you got on, Lauren. I really am. So um I'm gonna end now. Um, as always, you can reach me via DM on Facebook, Instagram. I am going to give you my phone number. Please do not prank dial me. If you call me at 2 a.m. in the morning, I'm probably not going to answer. But I do want you to have the ability to reach out to me anytime that you need to, or even if it's just a text message, maybe to ask a question. And my phone number is real slow. Area code 559-545-3726. And if you don't want to call, you can email me at wildfirewords99@gmail.com. Give me about 24 hours maximum to get back to you. It just depends on what's going on. But more often than not, I'll get back to you right away. I hope everybody got something out of this today. Um, Please, by all means, um, reach out, ask questions, and like always, live on purpose, speak life, stay present, and be humble. I'll see you the next time.